So first of all, I'm glad people are joining because here in the UK, at least, we are blessed with amazing weather, and it's Friday, and then, you know, everybody wants to possibly relax and a little bit recover after a long week of work. Also for people joining from UK, possibly a couple of you were attending the ARMA session, and I know the conference could be tiring as well, especially if we have to present something, prepare something as well. So thank you everyone for joining. We will start now. For everyone joining here for very first time, just to let you know, this event is organized by AIRON. AIRON stands for AI in Research Operation Network, and we are basically a community of people who are interested in AI adoption, sharing what we learned, what was good, what wasn't good. And what is very interesting about this community that we are a global community, so we are basically able to pick it up, what is happening somewhere in the world, and bring you to one stage, basically. The mics and cameras are on. If you are doing something at the same time, walking, picking up children, or something else, I would really appreciate if you could switch your mic off. I have enabled the Q&A section. So if you put the question and we will be not able to respond during the session, I will chase up Matt after the session and ask him to answer your question. So please don't worry. I think this is basically it. So I've put something, you scroll in the chat, like a message where you can find the website, info to recording, etc., etc. So please scroll it up and look at the message. It has most important information. But that's it from me. Now it's over to Matt, who maybe a couple of you know very well. I'm very excited for his session, for his not sharing just expertise, but also projecting for the future, what is going really to happen for us working research management. And I hope it's going to be a little bit more optimistic view from what I have seen at from overall energy at ARMA conference. So we really need this to hear that the future will be good and bright for all of us. Okay, Matt, thank you so much. Please introduce yourself, provide a little bit of context before you start.
Would you mind, Anna, for a start, giving me sharing rights so I can show some slides?
Yes, I can actually. Where? Sorry, people.
While you are fiddling with that,
yes.
Thank you for the introduction. Will my presentation be optimistic? I think so in a certain perspective, but I will also talk about how the field of research management is changing quite drastically. So this will not be you can rest easy presentation. This will be shit is happening fast, but you can act on it presentation, just to align expectations here. Yeah.
Yes. So and now it appeared. Sorry, it was very slow. Okay, make it present now. Yes. So now you're able to present. I hope it works.
Yep. A second. There we go. I hope it works. Can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the future of research management. This is a presentation I did a month ago in Utrecht in the Netherlands at the ARMA conference. So don't worry too much about the slide deck. I tried to change it half an hour ago, but ended up getting frustrated and just thought, never mind. You'll have to live with the EAMA logo. So who am I, and what do I know about the future? My name is Lykke Berggreen. My daily work is as the team leader of a pre-award office at VIA University College in Denmark. I'm the co-founder of the EAMA thematic group on AI in research management, and to you non-Europeans, EAMA is the European Association of Research Managers and Administrators. I am a member of the expert group behind the living guidelines on the responsible use of generative AI in research. Up until very recently, last week, I was the president of the Danish Association of Research Managers and Administrators. I also work as a consultant. I have a private one-man company where I advise on using generative AI in research. And I can see in the participants that Ellen Schenk is here. Hi, Ellen. She's the current leader of the AI in research management in EAMA group. So Ellen, maybe you can drop a link in the chat if people want to join us in that group. So why am I giving this presentation? Who am I to talk about the seconds? I'm just closing a window here because our IT department, they have a band and they're practicing right outside. There's a summer party going on soon. So there will possibly be a backing track soon. It's summer. We'll live with it. It's very human. Okay, so I'm a long-time grant writer. I've been working as a grant writer for close to 15 years at research universities. I was an early generative AI adapter. I remember very vividly how I found ChatGPT for the first time in November 22. I was browsing Reddit, as one do, and I clicked a link that led me to ChatGPT, and I had the biggest oh shit moment of my professional life. I could see that this technology is going to change how I work. I have a degree in literature and rhetorics, so my trump card has always been that I'm a good writer. And I could just recognize right from the start, even from the relatively clumsy early models, that this could do more or less the same as me. And if my job is automatable, then at least I want to have a slice of the pie. So I decided that I just have to become an expert on this. So I spent a lot of time just doing double work. Every time I solved a task manually, I also tried to complete it using Gen AI, taught myself how to prompt, and quickly started being booked for workshops and presentations in my peer network in Dharma. So that's why I'm here. One of the interesting tasks I've had as a private consultant is that I got a job or some hourly work at a company called Postdocs AI. They do automated grant writing. And the task that they hired me for was reading automated grant proposals and commenting on them. So basically the same as you see like click farm workers doing for $0.50 an hour in Africa. I was hired to do that for, what was my salary? It was like 300 euros an hour, so a high consultant salary, which seemed cool, but also led to a bit of an existential crisis. So what the fuck am I doing here? Am I automating away my own career? And that realization was also a deciding factor in me not running for re-election as Dharma president last week, because some of the members of Dharma, they were critical of me working with automation within AI, while also the president of the Danish Association of Research Managers, which is understandable. So I'll leave that seat to someone else and keep working on AI automation, while also being aware that you guys are my colleagues, and we need to invent a future where all of us have a job and can continue to contribute to science or society in some way. So where do I see AI right now? I don't know if you guys know this model. This is called the Gartner Hype Cycle. Gartner is a technology consultant service from the US. And they have made this model showing the hype tendency with new technologies, where they have defined these phases. So if we apply that on generative AI, we would say that the technology trigger was the transformer architecture, allowing the training of neural networks to reproduce patterns, one of them being language. That led to a peak of inflated expectations with the early years of ChatGPT, where we started talking about this as a paradigm shift, and this as we talked about artificial general intelligence very early in this cycle. So that also led to a throw of disillusionment, where people just did not see the results, and that has been going on until very recently, where I see us now on a slope of enlightenment. We're starting to see some concrete use cases of generative AI, with some fields being very heavily automated, one of them being programming. We have been used to viewing programming as a knowledge worker skill set that was in extremely high demand, and something that we could not see as automatable. And all of a sudden, we see real world examples of fully automated programming offices and programmers being out of a job. I think that we are well on our path to the plateau of productivity, where we will very soon see AI as an invisible infrastructure. Like, for example, we see the internet, or our parents' generation learned to see the personal computer. I personally believe that this will not be a plateau, that we are still, that we will get back to our initial expectations of this being a radical paradigm shift, but let's see. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So I'm guessing that you guys are here because you are curious about AI use, and probably AI users yourself, or trying to become so. You can probably recognize that the first steps in using AI in research management for most of us was the use of large language models. Examples being stuff like create a writing template that complies with the requirement of this application guide, where your input could be linked to or a copy of the application guide, and the output could be a writing template following the funder's required structure. So stuff like that, stuff like what I used to be good at as someone who studied rhetorics. This is heavily automatable, and I think that the LLMs right now are better at this than I am, even though I think I'm pretty good at it. So this is a stage. This should be the norm. We are past, if not way past, this stage of AI use in our field. Someone is not muted. If you are not muted and moving, could you please mute your microphone? Thank you. So next step for many is probably the use of static agents. And I would like to see a show of hands. You can just use the show of hand indicator as if you had a question. How many of you have tried to set up a static agent, like a custom GPT or an agent in Copilot? Yeah, I would guess so. Most of you are there. That is something I see a lot of people talking about when I'm out giving workshop. That is pretty much like the state of the art where we are right now, setting up and sharing static agents with your colleagues for task solving, like the one I just showed you before. I can tell you that some of the things that work very well for me is that I'm doing simulated peer reviews. For example, I've set up this external evaluator simulator that simulates a peer review. And when the demand for grant-specific peer reviewer started to rise, I set up a meta tool called the evaluator simulator generator that would generate an agent prompt for a specific grant-specific evaluator simulator. So stuff like that. That is, if you are doing that now, then you're doing pretty good. But again, it is only scratching the surface, or in my opinion, that's of the capabilities of this technology. What we are looking into as one of the next steps is computer use. I don't know if you how well you guys know this technology. This is when you give your AI agent a body, or a metaphorically body. You give it the capabilities to act on its own, not just wait for input. So in this example here, I have installed the Claude browser extension in Chrome, and I've tapped into the journaling system of my institution and made a prompt that asked it to finish off. I made like a journaling or journalization mistake where I systematically forgot to mark my project as research. So I needed to do that manually for every project that I have ever put into the system. Instead, I asked Claude to do the same while I drank coffee next to it. So this is just, of course, this is just a stupid example, but it leads us to where we are going when we combine the brain of the AI with the body of a browser extension where it can actually act on your behalf. And the next step will be setting up agents where it can act autonomously. I think we are getting there. I think that we are on our way towards the automation of knowledge work, and that we might very well think of a lot of our jobs today, our email answering jobs, like we saw people working at looms or at operator desks during the digital or industrial revolution. Yeah, I know you told me not to be gloomy, but don't worry. I hope that I can still turn this towards optimism. Let's see. So that's our field here, research support. But what about science? Is science automatable? An interesting article here has set up a proof of concept showing an automated science loop. The idea is that every step here represents a prompt or agent that can act on and pass along a task in a science workflow. The idea here is to show that you can more or less fully automate the scientific workflow from ideation towards paper manuscript writing and paper reviewing. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because the band is playing. Yeah, I'll pause here.
Yeah, but we have a couple of people hand raising. I think Stefan, I see your hand being maybe you didn't lower
before,
your
but
hand.
if you have a question, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
I didn't remove my hand when Matt asked who was making.
It was an old hand.
Yeah, an old hand. I removed.
Are there any active hands, new hands, relevant hands? If not, I'll continue. So maybe science is somewhat automatable. This is a proof of concept doing research on open data sources. Of course, it would be harder doing science in a laboratory or creating new data interacting with humans. But it's an example that it is not as far-fetched an idea as we would have thought a few years ago. But the ideas, you are probably wondering, it cannot be truly creative, right? Because it is just reproducing training data. So here's another example, another article. this research group, what they did was they asked a group of human researchers to generate scientific ideas, like on a just on a headline basis, and then they asked an AI to do the same. Then they asked a group of researchers to evaluate and give a novelty score on the ideas. And this experiment ended up showing that the AI had a higher novelty score than the humans. Fortunately, there was a third category where a human re-ranking of the AI-generated projects actually scored even higher. So they asked the humans to pick the most creative or novel and submit them to a third group of evaluators. So we have to acknowledge that perhaps creativity and human ingenuity is not as unique as we have thought. I personally believe it is still there, but it is not as easy an answer as we would have hoped and thought a few years ago. So this hits a bit close to home for us because we work in research. So let's take a step back and look at another field where it is not as vulnerable for us. Let's look at game development, because game development is automatable. This is another article. And what they have done is they have set up this game development studio, pretty much the same idea, the same setup as the research group. A fun twist here is that they have given it a visual interface. So here we see these agents representing prompts and a chain of command or a workflow defining the flow of if-or decisions. So if this is ready for review, then pass it along to this guy. If you are experiencing a problem with the coding, then pass it along to the coding agent, etc., 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 etc. And this fully automated workflow could already in 2024, I think this is from, generate examples of functioning video games in this loop. So this begs a question: can we automate a pre-award office? This, what you see here, this is my mock-up. This is something I did, and this is not a working prototype. This is just a visualization of the idea, which is more or less defining the roles in a research support office, giving them each a prompt and defining how they should pass along tasks to each other, the same way as in the grant writing office. So a visualization of the workflow as approach we already know from our daily work, and an attempt to describe the prompt that would define each specialist's responsibility in this workflow. So as I said, just a visual mock-up. Why is this just a visual mock-up? Why doesn't it work? I ask rhetorically. One, it is very complicated. Another thing is that it would be impossible for me to do, at least under our institutional guidelines, because I would need to do this in Claude or something similar, who we do not have a data management agreement with, because I need to set up this as an agentic workflow. But what I can do and what I have done is I've set up this automated workflow in Claude that does not use institutional data. So what I've done here is that I have automated a workflow that we already do and are successful with, that is only reliant on open data sources. So this works. This is something that I have done that works in real life and that we use in my office right now, and which has more or less freed up half a year's work for our chief consultant EU specialist. So this is an agentic setup with defined roles. We have a profile builder. What he does is that he will look at a researcher profile, then define relevant keywords from his or her research, use them to pass them along to the funding scout that will look in the funding and tender portal that is for you international and non-Europeans. The funding and tender portal is where you look for funding from Horizon Europe. Then find relevant calls. Then he will pass the relevant calls and the profile along to the consortium builder. They will look in another open database called Cordis, that is a database of previously funded European projects. They will look for, the idea here is that if someone has done similar research before and systematically wins these bids, then they are likely to win the next bids again. So they will identify who we think are going to apply and who we think are going to win. And then they will find out what niche do we have if pitching ourselves as a work package leader in their consortium. Then we have a policy analyst. They will identify relevant European policy to look for. Is there a piece of European policy that we could address directly from our position of strength within our research profile? They will pass along this intelligence to the pitch crafter, who will, this is the most human looking role here. They will formulate an email on behalf of our researcher where they pitch our researcher as a research package leader in the gap that we have identified in the hypothetical consortium we think is going to win the Horizon Europe project. The last guy, the briefing reporter, he will put this all together in an easily digested format. This is what we share with our researchers. So this is basically just an HTML page that they can open in a browser, and then they can see the funding sources we have found, the intelligence report we have generated, the consortium analysis we have done, and they can see drafts for emails that we think they should send the likely winner of this bid. And all this is possible without GDPR concerns because it is done with open data only. I could do this with any of your researchers as well. It does not need to be one of my own researchers. So these experiments leads me to, I believe, that grant writing as we know it is automatable. We see the funding agencies starting to act on this because they are experiencing an influx of application. We see that the ERC, the European Research Council, they are tightening their quarantine rules, and other funders are implementing similar measures. For example, the Danish independent research funds in Denmark have similarly strengthened their quarantine rules, and made a new rule that each applicant can only submit one application a year across their instruments. I think that these are just patches. These are not real solutions to the general problem. And I think the general problem here is that since grant writing is automatable and they can actually write high quality proposals, how the F does an evaluator separate between a good project and a bad when every application is good? And I think that this illuminates the fact that we have built this entire system on a false premise. The false premise being that a good application will lead to a good project. I don't think this has ever been true, and I think that now we're starting to realize that this has never been the case. So what implications does this have? How do we as a research society react to this? What needs to happen? One potential solution could be to consider whether we should just skip the application game altogether. This constitutes an extremely resource-heavy, expensive system. All of my salary, all of your salary, the evaluator's salary. What if we just raised the base subsidies for universities and fired all of us so we could go do write poetry or do gardening or whatever? Another solution, what about AI, an AI augmented application system? If all of us are using AI anyway, then why not make the funders the owner of this system, create a system where we could apply with more chaotic input that focused on the good idea, not on adherence to a strict rule set. No matter what, I see our role changing from writers to coaches, because I think there will still be room for someone to help researchers realize or scope their projects and find the right consortia, etc. So I think basically there will still be room for humans in this future system, but likely in a more human-facing role and not as writers or email answerers like we have been used to working until now. Anna, I can see you have a raised hand.
Yeah, I have basically I was prompted by Simon. Simon had a very good question. Has this approach of reaching out to applicants speculatively worked? So I'm just wondering, Simon, you can provide a context and say something as well.
Sorry, I can't read the chat, so can you read out the end of the question?
Has this approach of reaching? Okay, has this approach of reaching out to applicants speculatively worked? I'm not quite sure, Simon, if I'm overriding you right now.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you.
Fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the automated process has not worked yet because we have only just started doing it. But the entire process that I showed here, this is something that we've been doing manually for years. So the idea here does not have a digital nature at all. This is a manual process that we have digitalized. So what I can say is that the expert was a great EU consultant. He agrees with me that our digital product is at the same level as the service that he has provided manually, and where he used to be a bottleneck because he only had the capacity to do this like maximum of 10 times a year. This is a very resource heavy process. Now I can do within my private token budget with Claude, I can do this once a day.
I guess I was wondering a bit about the role of human relationships and, you know, meeting fellow academics at conferences, whatever the context might be. I suppose my question was, you know, do people take well to, you know, they might be wondering how the hell did they get my contact, and stuff like that. That was kind of
it's
the context.
my agent addresses that as well. They try to find what is the closest path to an introduction here. So it will look for, have you published with anyone who has published with someone in this group? Have you been to the same conferences? So who could make an introduction? So this is basically it's supposed to be a totally invisible project that does not smell like AI to anyone being reached out to. This is just replicating the job that me and my colleagues has been done, like coaching the researchers to reach out to these people.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
So taking this to the extreme, imagine that it's the year 2042. All forms of digital media can be reproduced in forms that are indistinguishable from original human creativity. The internet is dead. There's no way to distinguish genuine human communication from spam and misinformation campaigns, and we've lost trust in digital communication as a whole. The newest trend in scientific dissemination is hiring troubadours with acoustic guitars. I don't think that this is necessarily where we will go, but I think that there is something around our trust in text, our trust in digital communication that will be lost, and we need to find something that can replace it. I believe that the system needs to change drastically, and that we as research managers need to change with it. I believe strongly that a large part of our core tasks, as they are now, are automatable. That if we do not adapt, then we should lose our jobs, because, at least talking for myself, I do not want to be a parasite on research. I believe strongly that research is one of the most beautiful activities you can do. And I want to add to research, not subtract from it. So if I cannot provide value, then I should do something else with my life. I also think that we can adapt and that we can continue to add value to science, but we need to rethink our roles. A few things that you can do today. If your institution does not have a clear AI guideline, I think that you should push the living guidelines on responsible AI use in research. As I started out saying in my introduction, I'm the expert group writing it, so it is co-written by research managers, and I think that our perspective is very well represented in these guides. I think that you should be transparent about your AI use, so share with your colleagues and the researchers how you use it and try to find ways to implement it. If you're not doing it already, set up static agents. That is a very easy place to start. And then practice this agentic thinking that I demonstrated. So imagine what workflows could I automate. That is my presentations. I have a few questions for debate. I imagine that you probably have questions as well. So if there are any questions in the chat, maybe you could moderate, and otherwise I invite you to butt in from the chat.
Thank you, Mats. Really, really straightforward and very refreshing presentation.
So optimistic.
Well, I think, you know, it's not like the message is like we can lean back and you know, someone automates us in the right direction. Unfortunately, we have to, and you know, so prove to be a human, we have to be creative, adapt, as you know, we have done for very, very long time as humans, and develop our workflows on top. And there are a couple of other ideas, definitely around the trust, as you mentioned, to verify the human outputs, relationships, provide a better quality. And I think right now also there is a lot of big need for AI literacy in general. But let me take the questions from the chat. So the first one is from Jody. How easy might it be to replicate this process in other regions for research funding, such as US or anywhere else? Any plans in this direction?
I'm guessing that this is a question about the Horizon Europe process. Well, from my perspective, it is very easy. What I did was that I installed Claude Cowork. I set this limitation for myself that I could not use any institutional data, and then I just played around with what was possible. I'm by no means a tech guy. I mean, I'm a literature student. I have a master's degree in comparative literature, and I mean, my tech savviness is that you know, I played computer games when I was a kid. That's pretty much it. And I have figured out how to do it. I do the vibe programming now, and it feels easy to me. I don't think that's because I'm like super smart or superhumanly good at tech. That would be a surprise to me as a 40-year-old to figure out that. I think that you guys could probably figure out how to do it as well if you installed Claude Cowork and started playing around with it while being very cautious about how you used institutional data.
Thank you, Jody. I hope this answers your question. There is a question from Daniel. Do you use premium version of these tools? And if yes or no, what is the reason behind your decision? Apologies if you have read or mentioned this already.
Yes, we have at my institution, we use not the premium, like this upgraded version of Copilot. So not the basic tier, but the middle tier. And that works very well for us as an institution. Of course, it means that we have made an institutional decision to trust an American provider, which is something you could discuss, but it makes my life easier because we have just decided to trust our data management agreement. And it means that I can set up these agents in an environment where I can easily share it with my colleagues, and I can access our whole file structure, because this allows me access to our SharePoint file sharing structure. So I can make an agent that can access all the files in a given folder, which is extremely convenient. I talked about Claude as well. We do not use Claude at my institution. I have bought that myself for my own money, and the process I set up is something that I am paying to set up at my institution. Not ideal, but again, it means that I have accepted some personal costs, and I have benefited hugely from that over the past few years, because now I'm as like semi-successful private consultant, earning quite a bit of money next to my state gig.
Great. Chira, there is one question. I take your question next from Jim. Are we developing the cognitive skills of research managers and administrators while we automate many of our jobs?
Well, I'm trying to do so. It depends who are we in this question. That is what me and Ellen is trying to do in the AR Mathematic group. That is what you're trying to do in AIRON, I guess, Anna. Ellen and I are also, we've just gotten a cost action approved where we'll do the same. So we are some idealists who are trying to do that. But you also have to be aware that there's another perspective on this. There's governments and university managements who will look at this as a way to cut costs. So I advise you strongly to keep that in mind and to think about if that is possible, if you can automate parts of your job, what should you do to prove that you still add value?
Yeah, thank you. Chira, you can unmute yourself. No, I think maybe not quite sure. Okay, Stefan.
Yes, I have a question about your agents and that you make. Do you have humans in the loop there when these agents run? For example, when I create agents, then they can come with all kinds of feedback, but at some point you need to tell, well, now you need to stop giving feedback, for example, or some feedback is not so important than other feedback. So how do you deal with that? Or do you have, well, at all think about that?
Yeah. We have agents set up to assist my team in our research support office, and then we have agents that we share directly with our researchers. For example, the evaluator simulators I showed before that simulates a peer review. We give access directly to our researchers so they can play around with that without us in the loop. The idea being that the output, they can use the output in the same way as they could a humanly generated peer review. They will read it as something they will agree with, something they will disagree with, but this decision on whether to act on it is still theirs, and they are the best qualified to decide whether the critique in the peer review is valid or not.
Yeah, and how
the point is that you need to design your processes being with cautiousness of whether a human needs to be in the loop or not.
Yeah, and with this automated, how do you call this again? The several agents that you connect with this. Maybe some political decisions also need to be made in the process. How do you deal with that? Do you?
The agentic setup, that is not institutionally approved and not using Copilot. That is using my own personal setup, and it only runs on my own computer. So of course I'm very cautious with that. The idea is that everything involved in that process is only reliant on open data. So this is not institutional at all. This just represents what I could have figured out Googling myself.
Yes. Okay.
So I would never give a researcher direct access to that. I would give them that as an output from me that I have validated.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Actually, a question from me, because you just shared with us you have built it from your own money. You have, you're passionate. You invested. What happens when you are going away from your institution, or any one of us building some tools and then all of a sudden deciding to do something different?
Yeah, everything that I built in our Copilot infrastructure, I share at our website, so that is easily accessible for our researchers and my colleagues. And then I'm just open about what I built myself. I tell our IT department about it, and I ask them to provide tools where I can do it in an institutional context. So I think that's pretty much on my institution to adapt. So if they want this to be anchored in the institution, then they need to provide an infrastructure for it.
Okay, thank you. Fair enough. There are a couple of questions in the chat. Let me just scroll up. So the first one is from Thank you, Matt. How do you view the challenge posed by the diversity of AI applications? Institutions may find it difficult to decide where to invest.
That's a good question. Personally, I'm very model agnostic. I do a lot of workshops, and when I do my workshops, I always make a point out of not deciding which tool my students should use. I said that they can use any large language model for my exercises. I think that AI use is an extremely transferable skill. If you become good at prompting in one model, then that transfers directly to whatever next model you're going to use. So I don't really think that you should worry too much about it. I can see there's another question about Copilot, someone not being impressed with it. That's David. And I hear that a lot. Maybe it's oftentimes it's because the people, they tried Copilot a year ago and haven't tried it since, because the current version of Copilot is running the same model as the latest version of ChatGPT. So it can basically, it's the same tool. It can just, it has some added functionalities where it can use your institutional data and reference to your calendar, your email, your file setup, etc. So from my perspective, Copilot is a very state-of-the-art tool. It's the only limitation here is that it does not have computer use access, and you cannot do agentic setups. I think maybe Americans can actually do computer use. I know there's a difference between the European and the American version.
Yeah, exactly. So are you talking about Microsoft 365, the Copilot version? Yeah.
And that have different tiers. There's a starting tier and an upgraded tier and an expert version. And we are running on the middle tier, and it functions very well from my perspective.
Great to know. So because it's a kind of like a number one tool that we are allowed to use in our institution if there is nothing else available.
I think that's extremely problematic from a European sovereignty, cannot pronounce that. You know what I mean? Perspective. I think that we should definitely pour resources into European models, but let's not talk about politics. I'm happy to acknowledge that it is a very, very effective tool. Very impressed with it.
Okay, so there is a question from David. So you talked about Dutch grant organization banning AI evaluation of grant application, but allow AI use for applicants. How are they going to cope with increasing application? I'm just interested in your perspective. There is a citation to an article about Dutch funders.
Yeah, maybe whoever asked that question can elaborate.
So it was just something that I found while I was looking at your work, Mads elsewhere, and I thought that's interesting because I heard something about the Dutch government banning AI in education and government. And when you look at the nuance, I think there's certain organisations in the Netherlands say that their research organisations, their funders, are not allowed to evaluate grant applications
Thank you. Got it now.
For fairness.
That is pretty much the norm, and that is also the advice in the living guidelines on responsible AI use on research, that you should not use AI for evaluation. It is also in the European GDPR legislation, Article 22 states that you cannot make automated decision processes. That is an ethical question that meets a practical reality, because it is an asymmetric game where we as applicants can mass produce applications, and they as evaluators will be more and more busy, and it will be harder and harder for them to find the good idea in there. What I'm currently doing is, this is called the living guidelines, and we are actively updating it. We are having ongoing meetings on the next version. And I am personally pushing for the next version to contain language that advises funders to design AI resilient grants. One example being from Denmark here, we have the Billum experiment, it's called, where they have an anonymized, ultra short application process, and they do not see the same influx of application. Their hypothesis is that it's because if you only focus on the idea and not the form, then the form stops mattering. And if the form doesn't, what AI is good at is the form. So if the form doesn't matter, then AI doesn't matter as much. I think that's a pretty good idea. Other people are talking about interviews. I think that would work as well, but interviews are extremely expensive. So I would probably advocate for just shorter, idea-focused application processes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mads. There is another question from Neil. Industry's more and more dominating frontier research having equal, if not more, access to all these AI tools. How can we, as research managers, best support our academic institutions to be ahead of or distinguish ourselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm talking from an extremely privileged position here because one, my institution has very lenient rules about my AI use. And two, they do not punish me breaking those rules all the time. And I know that's not the case everywhere. I know that some of you are probably working in more strict and more hierarchical institutions. But what I have been doing and what has worked for me is to be open about my use and to show how my AI workflows add value to our research programs. I think that creates an incentive for my bosses to be lenient about my AI use.
Thank you, Matt. I'm also wondering, like, if you have advice for all of us, basically, in our with our different job titles, but supporting research environment, what we should do in, I don't know, in the next 12 months and then maybe up to 3 years, and why?
Redefine your position from email answerer to mobilizer or proactive advisor. I think we need to start thinking about ourselves as strategic sparring partners and coaches and advisors in the future, because more or less almost every task that can be solved in a Word document or by answering an email will be automatable. That's my working hypothesis.
When do you, because you mentioned at the beginning that at some stage, we will increase the efficiency, but then it's not possible anymore. Do you have own prediction when this is going to happen? Or what will be circumstances as well?
The Gartner hype cycle. Yeah, but I don't. that's a general model for new technologies, and I am not convinced that this is applicable on AI. I think that that AI is unique, and it will have a larger impact on society than any technology we've seen before.
Okay, I just mentioned, yeah, I just meant kind of like for us. So we will be possibly. At the moment, we are processing a lot of applications, workload it's increasing, teams are on the same level. Let's say we can automate some things, everybody has access to agents and so on. So we'll be in a couple of months, like sort of increase our productivity to a certain point. And I wonder, like, how would you define this point, and kind of the circumstances and what happens next? Because very often we realize
you have to look for whether you are taking on more work because you are working more effectively, or if you are freeing up time to find new ways to add value. Because if you just take up more work, then you continue to be automatable, and you will lose your job at some point. So you have to insist on the time that you free up using AI tools. You have to invest that into doing something else. So don't just automate what you have been doing. You have to think about what are you going to do that you did not do before.
What about skills? I mean, it's very, very easy to say, well, be creative, add the value to the workflow. We have, you automated yourself, now automated by the agents. What do you think, what skills would matter, or what should people be aware of if they want to be explore the other?
Think about what is not automatable. I think most important skill will be empathy, humor. So everything related to human interaction. I think that's like the last frontier, and I can't see a future where that is automatable. Every task where you are in one-to-one contact with your researchers, doing coaching sessions, doing workshops, being present, being a shoulder to cry on, I think that is a skill that will increase tremendously in value, and that we will start to validate more as well. Historically, it is not a skill that we have that has led to promotions and raises, but I think like on a 10-year perspective, we are forced into a position where we need to start promoting empathic, humoristic people, because that's the only value we have left. That was dramatic, not the only value, but there will be an increase in the recognition of that value.
Okay, that's very positive. You mentioned there was one, like a slide with trailblazer, medieval age sorts of trailblazing about the research. Yeah, exactly. So if you could kind of give us, so we can more provide a value relationship and so on. We already do this actually, but if you could let us know a couple like job description profiles, something more tangible or something you can lighter imagine in terms of future jobs.
Yeah, some of you are probably the AI experts at your institution. So in the short term, it would be like a human AI liaison, or you will be doing AI implementation practice for your researchers. I mean, that's something that I'm doing. I'm doing courses for our researchers on using AI in their research methodology. So that will be one thing. I think another headline is probably something as coaching. I think that one of the places where I have felt very tangibly that I have added value always, not just post-AI is in giving a researcher the confidence to raise the scope of the research project, reach out to the partner that they are slightly intimidated of because they are a seasoned professor, and apply for a grant that seems out of scope from how they see themselves. So when that has succeeded, and I've seen how my advice has helped young researchers reach the next stage of their career, that is the best days of my working life. And I think we will be in a lot of those situations in the future, in our future positions. I can see that people are slowly starting to leave, and our time is up. One thing that I would very much like to do before signing off is for those of you who are comfortable doing so, to turn on your camera. Just this all this talk about human-to-human interaction, because I'm on my way out to drink beer with the IT department, and I would love to just wave at you guys before going to weekend.
Yeah, are those the benefits of automation, right?
Hi, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Mats. As always, you are brilliant. I really appreciate your job, and I hope a couple of people who are with us are still here as well. Shout out to you. Have a great afternoon and weekend, and enjoy your time with your colleagues. Thank you.
Have a great summer, everybody, and feel free to reach out and connect on LinkedIn or wherever.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day, and have a wonderful weekend. Great to see you here. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.